everybody. My name is Maddie Hicks, and thanks to Metro Nashville Public Schools and Oz Arts, I am here to share a really cool STEAM-inspired art project with you guys today. But before we get started with that, why don't we go ahead and do a quick refresher on what it is I mean when I say STEAM. So STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And the STEAM style of education is all about taking these different disciplines and using them to creatively solve problems and come up with new ideas. I think one of my favorite things about doing these STEAM-inspired projects is that you get to take elements from all of these really different subject areas and you get to combine them together to make something new. I am a Nashville-based multimedia artist, and by multimedia I mean that I like to blend all these different mediums together. So I don't just work in one kind of art. I do theater, I'm a filmmaker, I make puppets, I tell stories, I write, I draw, I kind of do a little bit of everything. And this project is super exciting to me because we are going to get to use science, creative writing, and visual arts all together in one. So for this project, we are going to make solar system inspired art zines. Have you guys heard of a zine before? So zine is short for magazine or fanzine, and it's almost like a little handmade personal journal, and it can be about anything. Some people make zines just about themselves and their lives, or something they're really passionate about. Sometimes they can be political, sometimes it's just interesting information, and our zine is going to be all about you and your solar system. So this project is going to be a two-part video. Part one, we are going to do some creative writing inspired by the solar system. And then part two, we're going to take our writing, we're going to put it in our zine, and we're going to add some illustrations and some artwork to it. But since today we're just working on writing, we're just going to need some paper and then either a pen or a pencil, and that's it. Now before we get started with the writing, I'm going to share a quick visual with you guys, just kind of reminding you about how that writing process works. Alright, so in this video we're going to focus on pre-writing, drafting, and revising, where we think of our ideas, we get them down on paper, and then we might do a little bit of editing at the end. In our next video, we'll actually get to do the publishing when we make our own zines. So like I mentioned earlier, our zine is going to be inspired by our own personal solar system. And what I mean by that is that I want you guys to imagine that you and your life consist of your own solar system. So think about all the people in your life. They'd kind of be like the planets around you. Think about all the places that you like to go. I know here in Nashville, I love to go to the Frist Art Museum. I love Centennial Park. I love Mas Tacos. So start thinking about your life and the world around you as your own solar system, and that's going to be our inspiration today. So we are going to do 5 creative writing prompts. And the first one, number 1, is inspired by the sun. So go ahead on your piece of paper here, and you're going to want to number it. Number 1, the sun, because we're going to come back to these writings later when it's time to make our zine. So writing prompt number 1, the sun. Now, if our life and our world is a solar system, then you are the sun. So you are the star of the show. Get it? Because the sun's a star and you're a star. So you are the sun. You are the center of your solar system, okay? So thinking of yourself as the sun, I want you to come up with 10 adjectives to describe yourself. Are you silly? Are you athletic? Are you brave? Are you shy? So 10 adjectives to describe yourself. And you guys can pause this video if you need a little extra time to think. All right, you guys got your 10 words. So you are the sun and you are, I'll show you mine. I am creative, kind, curious, resilient, brave, goofy, passionate, thoughtful, witty, and unique. So when we go in our next video to make our art zines, we're gonna do something with those words, but all you need for now is to just have them down. And you might think of some other words later that you wanna add, go for it. Now what else do we have in our solar system? We have planets. So there are 4 inner planets and 4 outer planets. So here are the 4 inner planets in our solar system. We have Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And we can come back here for inspiration. When it's time for you guys to think of your planets, I found it really helpful to look at these little fun facts they've included in this graph to get some ideas about what my planets might be. So we can see that in our solar system, we have Mercury, which is the closest to the sun. And this is a planet that gets really, really hot. So that made me wonder, what do I have in my life that I'm super close to and super passionate about? Could be a friend, could be a hobby or an interest. Then I looked at Earth and I thought, okay, so Earth is the only planet that sustains life. What gives me a lot of life and a lot of meaning? And then we have our 4 outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And you can do the same thing here. When you're thinking of your planets, you can come back to this visual for inspiration. So we see Saturn is the furthest planet that can be seen from Earth without a telescope. So that could represent something that's really important in your life that might be kind of far away. But if you ever need it, or if you ever need that person or that thing, you know you can look and find it. Just might not always be around. All right, so for this next prompt, you are going to decide what your 8 planets are. They can be people, like your friends or your family. They can be places that you like to go. They can be things you like to do, your hobbies or passions. So pick your 8 planets. And then after you have your 8 planets, choose just one of those to write at least a sentence or 2 about, explaining why it's so important to you and why it's a part of your solar system. Alright, so now we should have all of our 8 planets listed, and we also have a sentence explaining why one of those planets was so important to us. So for mine, I said my friends are so important to me because they bring joy and love into my life. Alright, so now we've got prompt number 1, the sun. Prompt number 2, our planets. Now prompt number 3 is going to be inspired by the stars. So you guys can go ahead and write number 3, stars. So stars are one of the most magical parts of solar systems to me. Really, they're just composed of these big, bright, hot balls of matter. But when we're here on Earth looking up at them, it's just so beautiful and so peaceful to me. You might hear people say things like, I wish upon a star. So for this prompt, we're gonna kind of play with that idea. So in our solar system, we're gonna imagine that the stars are like our wishes, like our hopes and our dreams. So we're gonna make sort of a bucket list next. What are 10 things you wish for your life? They can be little things like, I wish to get on the volleyball team, or I wish to get into drama camp next summer. Or they could be big things, like, a job that you want to pursue after high school, or a college that you might want to go to one day, a place you might want to visit like Paris or Italy. So 10 wishes, big or small. All right, we should now have our 10 wishes, our 10 stars. And just a reminder guys, feel free to pause the video if at any point you need more time to think and write. And now we're ready to move on to prompt number 4. Prompt number 4 is inspired by the moon. So in our solar system, we have over 200 moons, but here on Earth, we can only see one. And it always looks a little bit different, right? Because there are different phases of the moon. So depending on how it's lit is how we're going to see it. For the moon prompt, I want you to think about the moon and how the moon has all of these phases, thinking about your life, how your life has had all of these different phases, and I want you to write a piece of advice to yourself, either to yourself in the past, something you wish you could tell yourself a year ago, or it could be something to yourself in the future. What do you want future you to know? So write to one of your phases in this next prompt. Is going to be about how we see our solar system. So how on earth do we learn about space? How do we see things in space? So we've got a lot of different tools, but one thing that people have used for a very long time is a telescope. Now, telescopes have been around since 1608, and supposedly this man named Hans Lippershey was the first person to ever invent a telescope. But legend has it that the first telescope was actually made 3 years before this by a group of kids who were playing around in a spectacle maker shop. Who knows? So the telescope is the way that we sort of see into our solar system. So one way that we kind of see into our own solar systems is through art and music and stories. That's how we kind of see and understand and feel things that are happening to us. And I know music is a big one, right? Do you guys have a favorite song? And maybe there are some lyrics in that song that just like really resonate with you. So for our next prompt, I want you to pause the video in a second here, and I want you to listen to one of your favorite school appropriate songs. And I just want you to kind of feel the song, really pay attention to what's meaningful to you in that song. And then I want you to write down a line or two that you really love. Maybe you can relate to it, or maybe it just makes you happy. All right, so go ahead and find one of your favorite songs, give it a listen, and then write out a couple lines from the song. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to your song. I pulled out some lyrics from a song I like called Shalala by Haley Hendricks, and she has a line in this song that she repeats over and over again, which is, "I need to start a garden." And that might seem kind of random and silly, but to me, this song is all about growing. So not only growing something outside, but growing as a person. And to me, I just really love that. So my telescope prompt is, I need to start a garden. All right, so you guys should have something for all of your prompts now. So we have the sun, we have the planets, we have the stars, we have the moon phases, and we have the telescope. So now what you're gonna do is you're just gonna go through everything you've written and do a little editing where you need to. If you wanna change the way you worded something, or if you wanna switch out one of your planets, if you need to check the spelling, or if you have something written down that's a phrase and you wanna make it a complete sentence. Those are the kind of edits we're gonna do. So next time when we make our art zines, we wanna go ahead and have our writing nice and neat, so we're gonna transfer it over there. So next time we get together, we will make our own solar system inspired zines. I can't wait. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed writing about your solar systems, and I'm so excited for the next video where we get to take your writing and we get to make it into a zine. All right, until next time, bye guys.